Well, I want to introduce our first speaker, and Jakub Mysliwiec. And Jakub is someone I have had the pleasure of seeing grow in the business. Just a brief history of Jakub. He started in 2016 and had a 10K fast start. So at today's dollars, that'd be like an 11K fast start. Worked his tail off as soon as he graduated high school. He started working. His brother actually made him do the job, and his mom, right? So it's pretty cool. And then following the following Tuesday, the SC2 push started right after his fast start, and he sold 10K while going to the biggest music festival also in Chicago. And he became a sales manager the following summer in Oak Lawn, where he had a $21,000 SC2 push, and then became a branch manager in 2018. His first branch summer, his office did 193,000, which set an all-time record in Champaign, still held today. Well, actually not still held today. Incorrect in saying that. 37 reps in 2019 as a second-year branch in Champaign. And they ended up number 3 in the nation. The first year, number 4 in the nation. The next year, number 3 in the nation. And check this out. They grew from 193,000 to 278,000 the very next summer. Okay. Last year, he graduated from University of Illinois last May in 2020, and he became a district manager, was the number 1 new district manager in the central region last summer. And then this year so far, really, it's not even a close competition. He's the number 1 first full year district manager in the central region, and one of the top district managers in the entire central region as well, doing a great job leading an amazing team in Lincoln Park. And Jakub is going to be our first speaker, talking about why TLA and why management. And last thing before he starts, I want to share this with you. When he started, I remember him saying, Greg, I'm not going to be in management with the company, and because I'm going to be a doctor. And so he found fulfillment here. And I think you're going to hear an outstanding message from Jakub. So go ahead and take it away, Jakub.
All right. How are we feeling over there? How's everyone doing? Let's just drop some good things in the chat box. I want to hear about what are you liking about SC2 so far. I'm gonna just go ahead and start recording as you guys just drop some quick things in the chat on some thoughts on SC2. Guys, SC2 is my favorite time of the year, and I'm gonna ask you guys to engage with me throughout today's message, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So welcome to SC2. Again, this is my favorite event of the year. Looks like the chat is blowing up. Roundtables are great. The nuggets, the cookware, the flatware, ILL, most definitely Kyle, INI. Amazing info. Love connecting with people. Tristan, listening to other people's tips and experiences. Messages are fire. Opportunities for growth. Man, I love SC2. Without a doubt, my favorite part of the year. Let's make sure everyone is muted though. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to dive into my message here today on why TLA. So if you got your notes out, you should have your notes out. I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. So Greg, I'm going to take over your power with the sound. But guys, as far as today, I've got the background. TLA. TLA stands for the Leadership Academy. And I've gone through TLA now 5 years, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. And I'm going to go through it again. Why? Because I'm always a student of the business. I'm always going to be in beginnership, and I'm always going to be learning. And that's going to be one of my major keys for you guys throughout your time here. If you're invited to be in this breakout, if your manager wanted you to be here, big tip is just always be in beginnership. So what is TLA? For those of you that are not familiar, or maybe if you just started this summer or even not too long ago, TLA is the premier resume building experience for anybody, for students, for athletes, for if you're invited to be here, your manager does see you as a leader. But the things that I remember learning in TLA were next to none. I'll show you some photos here. I'll show you some cool experiences, some great things that I've learned. But the big thing out of all this, guys, is that I used to never be like this. I was very shy. I was very reserved. I labeled myself as an introvert because I just didn't know how to talk to people. I didn't have too many friends in high school. And I was going to a major university, the U of I, down at Urbana-Champaign. And I knew that I really had to improve my skills. So Sebastian, my older brother, he said, Jacob, you should try out this job. I said, I don't know, I'll try it, but I don't think it's going to be for me. I'm going to school for biology. You know, as a doctor, I'm not going to need these skills. And boy, I was wrong. I love the skills. I love what I've been able to do and the people I've been able to meet and the relationships I've been able to create. For example, on the screen here, you'll see one of my best friends, Connor Olson. We grew up in the business together. He started a week before I did. And you guys might know Connor Olson from a story. His SC2 push, he sold $72,000 worth of Cutco. 72 grand. Like some of you are like having a hard time wrapping your head around that. In his last 2 days of the push, he sold 26,000. That's when my brain started to stretch. I started to expand my capacity. I was like, wait, if Connor could do that, I could do anything. I can, why can't I do that? If he could do it, why can't I? I started asking myself questions like that. Yes, I sold 10K in my fast start. I worked really hard, but then I started to just continue to expand my capacity. I'm going to be sharing my screen, taking my screen down, things like that throughout my message today. But I do want to get a chance to speak with you. And one of the biggest things for me during the school year is I wanted to continue to be around the right people. And Pierre, what that looked like was I loved who I was working with. People like Michael Foreman, people like Connor Olson, people like Carlos Shoemaker. I like adapted and I found like, okay, these are people that I want to grow up with and be around. And that's who is in my peer group now. Like, and when I think about people that I met in TLA, I think about the conversations I've been able to have with Colleen Dolan, with people like Aaron Gokin. You guys might have seen Aaron Gokin on the report yesterday. I met him and we built a close relationship back at TLA. And it was those meetings and it was those events where we really elevated each other. And I'm sure all of you have heard the quote that you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with the most. And I started elevating myself with people that I wanted to be like, people that were really good at speaking. I saw Carlos Shoemaker at SC2 give a phenomenal message on just selling. And I was like asking my brother Sebastian, I was like, Sebastian, how old is this guy? Like, he's amazing. He's like, Jacob, he's 19 years old. I was like, wow, I want to be like Carlos. He was one of those speakers where he would walk around, in the audience, in the crowd, and he would talk to people like directly. I was like, wow, like this guy is very impressive. And I want to be just like Carlos. So I started talking to Carlos. And now Carlos is one of my best friends in the business. So whoever you want to be like, Brady, you want to surround yourself with those type of people. And let's make sure we stay muted, please. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. But I had a conversation with one of my mentors and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after college. I knew that med school wasn't really something that I was excited about anymore. I was excited about it when I was in college for like the first 2 years, but I started to get a lot more fulfillment from what I was doing here in the business. And Amaral, what started happening was I started shifting my focus from me and what I'm going to do for my life. And I started focusing on what I could do for us and our generation and we. And that's when I started having more conversations with customers on demos like, hey, Miss Jones, like, what do you do? Do you like doing what you do? And I started finding out like what people like, what people didn't like. I asked them about their experiences. And I had a chance to meet a lot of doctors in this business through recommendations on demos. And they're like, Jacob, it doesn't sound like you're really excited about becoming a doctor. So I don't think so. And they said, just get as much experience as you can. Because the more tools that you have in your toolkit, anyone's going to want you. I said, okay, I can do that. So I started developing myself more and more as a leader. And I'll show you guys some photos here of what we've been able to do in TLA. But here's just some of my most memorable experiences. Some of my best friends in the company. You guys see Dan Hyden down here. Dan Hyden is the pilot sales manager of the Naperville office. I went to elementary school with Dan Hyden. Crazy, Becca. I went to elementary school with them, and now we're working together for the past 5 years. That's why I'm here, because I get to build my skills with amazing people. I think about people like Sebastian, my brother. seeing how much he's helped me grow and expand. I remember in the beginning, sometimes when I didn't have that motivation, I know that conversation came up a little bit earlier. It's like, what do you do when motivation isn't there? You need discipline. Sebastian like poured discipline into me. I didn't want to wake up for Champs Club sometimes. So what did he do is he pulled me out of bed. And that's how I started to really expand my capacity. I think about people like Maddie Bruner here. Maddie Bruner, I was the assistant manager in the Oak Lawn office when Maddie got started. And now Maddie like pioneered our whole virtual demo program. I think about going on a trip to Olean, and K-Bar Nick, you would love Olean. I mean, look at that K-Bar right in my head. That thing was crazy. I was like, wow, like I get to see how these products are made. I get to meet these wonderful factory workers. I'm not sure when we're going to Olean next, but that was also one of my favorite parts where you got a chance to meet the CEO, the president, the factory workers. The factory workers like are just full of gratitude. They're just so grateful for what we do because without us, they have no jobs. And I started just getting this larger sense of fulfillment, and I started getting more energy from what I was doing. And it wasn't really a thing of motivation anymore. People always ask me the same question, Jacob, how do you like work hard day in, day out? It's committing to the process. I know who I'm showing up for. I know that there's people there waiting for me that want to learn, that want to grow. And I just show up in a much more powerful way. Does anyone know who Jim Rohn is or has heard of Jim Rohn? Amazing. So Jim Rohn, one of my favorite people, rest in peace for sure. He was wonderful, but I've learned a lot about personal growth and personal development through Jim Rohn. And that's what we focus on in TLA. One of the things that you guys will notice a part of TLA, if you do get invited to be a part of the group, is when you learn to work hard on yourself than you do on your job, that's when you're going to start growing exponentially as a human being. And guys, TLA will guarantee you a position for next summer as far as being on staff, having a certain role. Like I know a lot of my friends bounced around from job to job, internship to internship. And it was really grateful because I knew I was set. I didn't have to go job searching. Camilla, I didn't have to go walk around and go get a job at my university because I didn't have one. Like I had a secure job for 4 years for the Cutco through college program. And I was so excited about it. And I just kept pouring into myself and I kept learning. When I wasn't in Cutco meetings, I was learning about myself, lots of personal growth because Cutco really introduced me to that. Now, a follow-up to this quote from Jim Rohn, he says, if you work hard on your job, you can make a living, but when you work hard on yourself, you'll make a fortune. And I'm not doing this for the money, but what I've learned was that I'm able to be a better version of me and I'm able to impact more lives by growing myself. So I started investing into myself a little bit more. I started reading more books. I started listening to Jim Rohn every single day. If you want a fun tip here, I would say personal growth should happen during net time. Net time, Bianca, is when no extra time is needed. Maybe when you're working out, maybe when you're going for a run, maybe when you're washing the dishes, whatever you guys are doing, net time is a great time to be able to feed yourself really positive things. What is your ear candy? What are you learning? And that's when I started diving in a lot of the Changing Lives, Selling Knives podcast, things like that. Jim Rohn also said to have more than you've got to become more than you are. To have more than you've got to become more than you are. So I started elevating more and more, my leadership skills, growing. And Jim Rohn, I mean, I could talk about him for days, but he says that we invest lots of money into other things, but we forget to invest in ourselves. A mutual fund can give you 100% returns over a period of time, but Jolene, only personal development can give you more than 1,000% returns over the same period of time. I was like, wow, Jim Rohn, he just drops bars. Another thing that he dropped that I was really just resonated with me over the past 5 years, he says, you see, what you become is far more important than what you get. So you think about your SC2 push. It's not what sure, the paycheck's great. Some of you may have gotten your first common paychecks in the past few weeks. Awesome. But it's not about the money. It's who you're becoming in that process as well. It's how your mindset is shifting. I don't view money the same as a lot of my friends do. I view money as a resource for me to impact more lives. And Grace, that's when I started to shift how I spent my money. I started buying less of like what I thought was cool. And I started buying things that weren't really even concrete. Knowledge, mentors, books. And that's when I started really growing as a human. Now I have a huge vision for what I want for my future. And Jim Rohn says the most important question to ask on the job is not what am I getting? Instead, you should ask, what am I becoming? What you become directly influences what you get. Think of it this way. Most of what you have today, you have attracted by becoming the person you are today. And then one final thing to wrap up the theme of Jim Rohn here is Jim Rohn always says that income rarely exceeds personal development. Sometimes income takes a lucky jump, but unless you learn to handle the responsibilities that come with it, it will usually shrink back to the amount that you can handle. The branch manager opportunity, one of my favorite internships I've ever had in my entire life, and I know that it's changed my life and many around me for the better. Think about people like Andrew Smith, who's ran a branch office, Shelby North, who sold 47 grand in her first summer and earned a scholarship, and now she has her dream job. I think about Finn Dallas, who's going to be working over down in Texas with NASA. Just these relationships I've been able to create. Quentin White here in the middle, this was during his fast start. He earned the President's Club letter during his fast start. And Jake, he just raised me all the time about what it's doing for him. And guys, the branch manager opportunity is when you get to run an office. You could jot down 7-7. 7 weeks of recruiting, 7 weeks of selling. You sell with the team and you make straight half. You guys can all make that motion with me. You make straight half. Making straight half is juicy. You sell 2 grand in a week and you get $1,000 paycheck. That's juicy. You're like, man, like money just changes at that point. It's just like, wow. I started just thinking way differently about money. It's a 100-day internship. And it's the best internship that any student can ever gain, no matter what you're going to school for. Guys, I went to school for molecular biology. And I know for a fact that I had a better internship than every single one of my peers in college. Why? Because it was hands-on. I was interviewing, I was working, I was developing, I was training people. Now, why TLA? Guys, TLA helped me find my purpose. TLA allowed me to learn. TLA allowed me to grow. TLA allowed me to lead. If you're in this breakout, your manager sees you as a leader. Maybe it was from a sport that you've done in the past. Maybe it was you being a part of a certain leadership role in a community. Maybe you're an NHS, whatever it was, you're seen as a leader, or you see yourself as a leader. And the best thing you can do is continue to lead, because guys, our generation, they need help. And that's what we're here for, to lead them to those next levels of success and to help them out in what ways they need help. TLA is the perfect opportunity to really grow. It allowed me to expand my comfort zone. And I put myself in a position of choice. One of the most cool things that I don't talk about much is the fact that when I graduated from college back in 2020, the May of 2020 with my degree in MCB, molecular biology, I was offered many guaranteed positions as soon as I graduated. I was in a position of choice. I wasn't interviewing companies, they were interviewing me. It's really cool to be interviewed by someone. Not like interviewing for a job, just like the opposite. Because in TLA, you learn how to run interviews. I was interviewing people, like managers, recruiters. I was interviewing them. Why should I have this job? What is this going to do for me? Who do you guys work with? Because that's what I really cared about. It wasn't the money. Many of those positions that guaranteed me a job after college were 6-figure positions. But I loved who I was working with. And I know that I'm learning constantly here. I'm growing and I'm developing and I'm working with a wonderful group of people. So being in the position of choice. Guys, can you imagine what it looks like on a resume when an employer can see that you've ran interviews for people? That's what Lindley's going to have. And she's going to grow that resume even more. This is when Lindley first started. Lindley in her SC2 push, she made an extra $8,000 over her fast start. She made a little bit over $1,000 that summer. She earned a scholarship. And I said, Lindley is someone that I'd love to have as my sales manager. And Lindley interviewed for TLA. Lindley grew a ton as a person. And this summer, she helped us run our office as an 18-year-old. The Lincoln Park office would not be where it's at if it wasn't for Lindley. As an 18-year-old, Lindley was running interviews. scheduling people for interviews, developing people, and overall just getting a wonderful hands-on learning opportunity for her toolkit. She was growing, she was learning. I think about people like Andrew Smith.
Information session. There's a number of you here. For that, and you're all muted, so I can see and chat with each of you, but you can only see and chat with me. And we want to do it this way.
Andrew was running an office.
And we don't have.
He was running an office. He was learning. He was growing. He was running interviews for others. And guys, this is why I do what I do, is to really develop champions, to develop leaders, to make lifelong friendships. TLA is going to do that for you. Those I went through TLA with, I will be doing business with them in some type of capacity when I own my own companies in the future. Those are people I want to surround myself with. I know that they can work hard. I know that they're ready to learn. I know that they're ready to grow. And to wrap up, I'm going to go show you guys who's TLA for. Guys, if you're like me and you don't really know what you wanted to do in life, TLA is for you. If you don't know what kind of skills you'll need for the future, TLA is for you. If you have a perfect vision of what you see for yourself in the future and you know exactly the steps that you need to get there, TLA is also for you. Because skills, you cannot ever take skills away from someone. You cannot ever take experience away from someone. Riley, when I think about the experiences that I've had and I've grown, let's say robots take over a lot of the human jobs in the future. I know that my skills will never be replaced. I think about people I've grown up with, other leaders, athletes, scholars. The amazing people in this photo, Craig, Aaliyah. Aaliyah has her dream job working with Groupon, like in the executive office. Dan Hyde and Andrew. Andrew's gonna be an Olympian. There's Gracia. She's doing amazing things. And I think about what I've been able to do and what I've been able to accomplish. And TLA was a major focus for that. So if you're like, Jacob, I have all this going on during the school year. I did too. I went to school for a really tough major. I was also part of many different groups and communities at school as well. So why TLA? My question for you is, why not TLA? And there's my message.
That was fire. That was awesome. You know, again, sometimes like people start screaming. That was so good. Play it again, Jacob. Freaking awesome. Hope you guys like Luke Bryan. I'm a country fan.